fuss at me today.
I'm sorry, Millie. I'm just really upset. This is the last episode of the season. We've done 3 seasons now, and this is 30 episodes, and it's
right.
emotional for
Listen,
me.
I got happy candy here, okay? I know how to work them in.
Candy. Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out the show tonight. This is our 30th episode of the end of our 3rd season, which is kind of amazing. It's kind of a lot of work. We've had over 100 people involved in the show since the beginning.
Amazing.
In interviews and sketches and all the work that Millie's done with the research.
And Google.
Googling things. Do you know how hard it is to Google things these days? So we have Tucson, Arizona this week, and we have a few comedians called the Tucson Bullies. 3 guys, Tony, Dom, and I'm almost there.
Rudy?
Roy, Tony, Dom, and
Roy.
Roy. I almost forgot. So they're a group down there in Tucson.
A cowboy,
Arizona.
an Air Force person, and a comedian.
Is this a joke? Is this like walking to a bar? So I'm gonna open these candies. I'm totally eating these.
And I'm going to talk about Arizona.
What kind of research did you do this week?
Well, I did a Google research. Arizona, there it is. You know, it's very warm. Down in Tucson, it's the cowboy area. That's where it gets up to 125 degrees. And up north, it actually can snow 2 to 6 feet within 48 hours.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
You go from one top of the bottom to the bottom, and then when it snows, when it's hot. 125 degrees?
That's hot.
Have you ever been in anything that hot?
I have. My dad lived in Arizona.
Oh.
And he would say it's cooling down. It's 100 degrees today.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes, it is.
I can't do it.
Arizona is known as the Grand Canyon state.
Because part of the Grand Canyon is there. Yeah,
Gorgeous,
that makes sense.
yes. But it gets so hot there that people actually have fried an egg on top of a car in the AM. Not even like it's been out all day, in the AM.
I would love to try that for breakfast one day. It makes life easy. No cleanup.
Or roast beef, something like that. You know, your car overheats before you drive it over there. But you know, it's a dry heat. It's a dry heat.
It feels good. Yes,
it feels good
like that.
Yeah, like I like it. I like
Who wouldn't
that.
like to feel like they're melting?
I was out. I took my son to the park there. I felt like that, but I was okay because he was having fun.
Yeah.
And I had like a drink. I had water. It evaporated. Evaporated. I can't speak.
You know to SPF it up. You know
I know how to SPF it. That's right, baby. The state fossil, we all have them, who knew, is a petrified wood.
I did.
That's the state fossil of Arizona. And they also call the retiree Arizonians fossils because of all the tan they get.
Petrified wood was how I felt when I first went to prison.
Okay, next subject. Over by Flagstaff or Prescott, there's a place called Sedona. It's a desert town that's
so beautiful.
so wonderful there. I've been there, and it's magical. Again, it's known for its vortex meditation sites. You actually feel the vortex vibrate your whole body. It's like one giant spiritual vibrator.
That sounds like fun. That's exactly the same feeling I'm getting out of these chocolates.
Whatever works. So now, while you're there, you can, up in Sedona, you can also purchase these suckers that have either scorpions, worms, or crickets in them.
Not going to happen.
I think that it's something you crave after the vortex. You need the sucker. I don't know. I would prefer a Tootsie Pop, but that's
I don't
me.
want anything that leads to a scorpion.
Yeah.
I don't like things that bite me.
Well, it's going to be dead. But it's crunchy. It's too crunchy.
Oh, I assumed once you licked it, it came back to life once you were done licking the lollipop.
Well, I never had one, so that's a possibility. How's those chocolates? Good.
Thanks, Millie.
Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm happy eating the chocolate.
okay.
Thank you.
You know, cactus are mainly found in Arizona. This is a, what did I call this before? This is a prickly pear.
Prickly pear, yes. Which is the
Cactus.
name of a comedy club, I think.
But you know, and there's a Sequoia National Park up there. That's where they have the sequoias there. If you damage, shoot, or dig up, you can go to jail up to 25 years.
That's crazy. I would love to have one of those. They look like they're chasing you, like their arms are up and like, I just want to be your friend. That's what it
Yes,
looks like.
yes. And look,
What's this going on?
This is the tent city. Back in 1993, there was a sheriff that actually made tent city for people who did minor what do you call them?
Offenses.
Felonies or whatever. And he made them live outside, and they would have to wear pink underwear, pink socks, pink sandals. She's working with it. She looks
Right, yeah.
good.
They didn't make her hair pink.
Yeah, pink bedding.
But my understanding is in that situation, that actually brought the tension levels of the prison down. Like there were less fights, there were less.
Right, because they were overheated. That's why.
Probably, yeah.
No air conditioning unless you're sick.
Right, and you're outside. I mean, I love air conditioning. That's probably my favorite thing about life is air conditioning. So
Yeah, but
to be down in Arizona without air conditioning sounds
No,
crazy.
you need central air. But these people who are in jail, they complained about the weather, how it was too harsh for them. But really, our military, that's what they do, and they fight for our country, and they're intense.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we
But
should
they
expect
just
the
suck it
same
up.
from our prisoners.
But now they stopped it. 2017, 24 years temporarily. That's how long it took for it to fold up and figure.
That's a long time to make something happen.
I know.
By the time I was 24, I had 3 houses,
Anything pink? Were you
$4 million.
Wow.
I'm making all that up. I'm lying.
That's nice.
Again,
It's the chocolate makes you
I'm
lie.
so sorry.
It
God,
does.
these are good. You guys want to watch me finish all these? That's fine.
Don't do it.
No?
No.
Okay. Thanks for checking out the show. Stay tuned, watch the commercials. We got some great interviews. This is the 3rd season. You got to stick through the whole show. If you
Or not, and just
was
come
that?
at the end, because then we say stuff at the end. No, the interviews are very, very good. I watched all of them.
Millie's really good. Thank God she's here and doing this. And thank God she brought these. These are so good.
Yeah, it's because I bring stuff for him to eat. That's why he likes me.
No pizza, but whatever.
There's a pizza place right down the block.
So thanks for checking out the show. We're moving to Mondays at 9 p.m.
We are?
when we come back on Mother's Day.
Wow.
We'll talk about that again at the end. All right. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Wow.
finished almost all of these.
It is like so fun to watch you eat. So much.
I've heard that
You didn't even
before.
offer me a piece of candy.
You want a piece of candy?
No, I don't want a piece of candy. Thank you.
I touched them all. Thanks for checking out the show. We'll be back right after this.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Just coming down to see me.
Thanks.
Not him.
Hey there, y'all. It's DB Frick here once again. Welcome back to America. It's Monday night, 10 p.m. You probably just watched one of our commercials. Hopefully you did, because if you don't, we're going to get canceled. I have a very funny comedian with me today. I just recently met him. He's out of Tucson, Arizona. His name is Dominic DiTullio.
Yeah,
Ditola. Say it again?
Ditola.
Ditola. And I said it right before. I said it before, and I was like, yeah, we'll talk about how Dominic, because I spelled it wrong here. Dominic DiTullio. And he is in a group called the Tucson Bullies, which is a comedy group out in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the co-host of a podcast called The Sports Experience. So give a warm welcome to Dominic DiTullio.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
How you doing? Good to see
man.
you. Can I call you Dom? Is Dom good?
Yeah, everybody calls me Don.
Great. Thanks for coming down. I don't know if you know what we're doing on the show this year, but this season we're going to different areas of the country and different areas of the world and trying to find out about the comedy experience in those areas. So we've gone to places like India, we've gone to Salt Lake City, we just went to Texas, we also went to Sri Lanka, we're going to Germany. So and we're not actually going there, obviously. We kind of budget. We don't really have a budget much at all. So this is how we're doing it now. So thanks for coming on the show. And what I like to get into kind of immediately is what first got you on stage? What made you want to be a comedian? What was the experience like?
So I worked in finance for a while. after college. I really didn't think I would do stand up. And some people at work, they took me to a local comedy club and I saw their professional night. And I had just flippantly said, oh, I could do this. And they kept pushing me. And at some point, maybe a few months later, I said, all right, I'll write a set, whatever it is, and go on stage at the open mic. So I went to the open mic, and when you first go on stage, you don't do very well. And I just enjoyed it so much that I just kept coming back and coming back and coming back. And now I'm about 5+ years in.
Well, how before the pandemic, how often were you able to get up out there? And where would you get up? Where would you do your set?
Well, actually, before the pandemic hit, we had at least an open mic or 2 open mics every night here in town, every weeknight from Monday through Friday. And then Friday and Saturday, there is one local comedy club, Laughs, where you do like professional shows in an actual club. But there'd be book shows throughout the week at specific bars or venues. Me and a couple of my friends, we run one over at a local bar on the east side of town that we do every other Tuesday. We were doing it every Tuesday before the pandemic hit.
Okay. What was that place called?
The Music Box.
Okay. It's actually a place in Manhattan named the same exact thing.
Oh, really?
I think it's a Broadway theater, actually.
Oh.
So do you remember the first time that first time you were on stage? Where were you?
I was at Laughs. They have an open mic night every Thursday. Now it's every other Thursday, but.
Okay. And what kind of material do you like to do? What
I do a lot of observational stuff, and stories about my family and I, especially my dad, who had just recently passed. So it's good stuff.
What were some of your influences, some of your mentors, maybe some comedians that you really looked up to as a kid, and then how that's changed now?
So I was a teenager when Tough Crowd and Insomniac with Dave Attell were on Comedy Central, because I was really into South Park, and I still am. But those would come on late night Comedy Central, and I really got into like Greg Giraldo, Patrice O'Neill, Nick DiPaolo, Colin Quinn, that kind of core of the Tough Crowd. And then just Attell's not even really doing stand up on Insomniac. It's more or less him just making observations about the craziness of life post show.
That's sort of what I would hope to do with this show. I would hope to go into cities and go into bars and clubs and be able to meet the people getting on stage in time. That's sort of the inspiration. He's from not too far from here. He grew up in Rockville Center. His parents were tailors.
Oh, wow.
I actually worked for a guy who he worked for years ago.
Neat.
He was his video assistant, and I became his video assistant years after he was. But he bumped into him once at a CVS, and he was with his mom, and I went over to him. I was like, "Oh my God, Dave Attell," and he said to me, "You're introducing yourself to me like you know me."
Oh no.
Okay. And then but then we spoke for a minute. But that was my only experience with him. I've seen him on stage. He's one of the funnier guys.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I definitely agree. I think I sort of came up a little before that as far as my interest in comedy. I was growing up in the 80s. You were probably growing up in the late 90s into the early 2000s.
Yeah.
As far as our difference in age. So I was watching a lot of George Carlin and a lot of Richard Pryor. And even things like Cheech and Chong were coming up at the time. And so very young influence, as like 5 to 10 years old, watching different weird, and like even watching news comedy. That was my favorite. But let's get back to you. Where was the last time you went on stage?
It was at actually the Music Box about a week ago. So
okay, so you're getting on stage out there. There's no is there a limit on how many people you can have? What are the regulations right now?
Most of the bars and clubs and stuff are usually at probably half capacity, just to fall in line with stuff, and stuff is moved to like every other week. The professional shows are going on, I believe, every week, but yeah, the mics are available. Monday they have a virtual mic. and then Tuesday we have Music Box, and then a place called House of Bards. Nothing too much on Wednesday, but Thursday's Laughs open mic every other Thursday, and then Friday night is Kava Bar here in town where they do it, and then Sunday we have two mics, one at County Line and another it's just a bar, and then another at a pizza place up just outside of town.
Okay, so it's sort of been like that for a few months.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. It's so different in every area of the country to hear how it really is in New York comedy clubs, and you really can't just sit at a bar and drink.
Yeah.
Until like April 2nd. They're gonna
Oh, wow.
And it's right after April Fool's Day, so I think they're trying to say something to everybody. like someone suggested they do it on April Fool's Day, and if someone else was like, "No, we should do it the day after April Fool's Day," so they don't think we're calling.
Yeah, they're joking. Yeah.
It's been like really, even on Long Island where I'm from, things are very closed down for the most part.
Yeah, Arizona's been relatively open. I mean, we're not like Florida or anywhere, but like
It's very rural. Most of your areas are rural as opposed to, I live in a closed-in suburban. Everyone's very close in this suburban area, and then the city, of course, people are even closer. But
yeah, like we opened back up during last summer for about a month and a half, 2 months. Then it went back to shut down, and then by like kind of the mid-fall, early winter, everything kind of started opening back up again.
you said you run, you co-host a show called The Sports Experience.
Yes.
How did that start? How did that come about? Who did you do that with? When can people see it?
Yeah, so like maybe a couple years ago, my comedy stand-up friend Chris Quinn, he used to host a Wednesday open mic at a place called the Screening Room here in town. We were just talking at the bar at Laughs about sports, and he's like, "Yeah, we need to do like a podcast." And then when the pandemic hit, probably in the summer, because Chris really hasn't been going out to do a lot of shows, he was like, "Hey, why don't we start a podcast? I have a friend, Ty, who runs a place called Ingle Studio, like a recording studio for bands." He's like, "Yeah, we can just go down there and start a podcast about sports." So we've been doing it since the summer. We've just released our 58th episode. We're about, I think, mid 60s in right now. So yeah, we've just been recording since the summer and releasing them every Wednesday and Friday.
Where do you release them on?
Apple, YouTube, Spotify, our YouTube page, the Sports Experience Podcast. It's yeah, just kind of everywhere.
What do you like to watch? What are your sports? What are your main sports that you're into?
Big into baseball, football. Used to be really into basketball, into hockey. Chris is really into soccer. So we cover pretty much everything. Like we record 2 episodes every session, and we'll do it on like an athlete or a sports league, and just, pepper some comedy into it and have a good time.
One of the last jobs that I had before the pandemic started was I was working for the Islanders.
Oh, cool.
So I was actually working at Nassau Coliseum, and they would play at 2 places. They play at the Barclays Center and they play at Nassau Coliseum. So their games were split about 50-50. So I would work about 25 days working on their jerseys if their jerseys messed up.
Oh, wow.
And selling jerseys to like kids and families, like $400 jerseys.
Oh, wow.
I loved the job. It was so much fun to make these. They were high-end things, so it was really nice. I sort of missed that. And it's going to be a while before it comes back in that capacity again. It might not at all. They might just make a machine that makes the thing makes the shirt for you. I always thought that as I was making the shirts. They could easily do this with some really cool machine that people would like to watch. But
for sure. Then COVID, if it's done anything, it's brought automation and technology into the limelight for a lot of stuff.
There are a sect of people who believe that was what COVID was for.
Oh,
to sort of move along that process. But that process was going to happen on its own anyway. As AI, I once watched Elon Musk talk about like how he sees AI like changing, and he's like, eventually it'll be like we'll be making more and more robots, and there'll be less and less people, and more robots, and less people.
Exactly.
There are more robots than people, and there'll continue to be less and less people until they're just robots. And he did it stone-faced, and it
Oh
was
yeah.
scary. And it was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah, because he just very direct and blunt about it. Not like, okay, well, we might need to worry about it. He's just like, no, this is what's going to happen.
it is a possibility. I believe in anything's a possibility, and I'm not as smart as Elon Musk. My God, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Um, where are where you have another group called the Tucson Bullies. I'm
Yeah.
going to
So,
interview a couple of your couple of the guys in the group with you in the coming days. So tell me a little bit about how that came about. And who knows?
so at the time in Tucson, there weren't like a lot of other book shows outside the club. And my friend Roy Lee Reynolds, my friend Tony Brune, and my friend Andrew Scott, Roy and Andrew had started doing shows in like rural towns outside of Tucson. And I kind of fell in with them. And we ended up producing an album. We usually always work together, do stuff together. We're all good friends, and our
You
album.
have the album nearby. If you could
no,
show it.
not form. It's on my phone.
Okay, sure, fair enough. Yeah,
But
I thought
yeah,
I saw you looking to it. That's why I thought I saw
yeah.
you sort of looking to. But anyway, go on.
But yeah, I think I might have one of the pins from the album. Yeah, or one of the stickers.
Great. Yeah, sure. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, here you go.
Oh, there you go. That's great.
Yeah, so you can find us on Bullies. It's actually, the title of it is Tucson Outlaws Bullies Volume 1. So we're on Amazon, all the streaming stuff. So you can give a listen. We did like 20-minute sets at a local bar and had a good crowd there. So
I love it. I like
Yeah.
I like to hear that. Where do you see comedy going? Do you think comedy is going to change in the coming years as COVID goes away, as people get vaccinated, as people don't? And what's
Yeah,
that like down there? I mean, I know basically I understand the overall political outlook in Arizona is very red and very Republican, but Tucson, I would imagine, sort of is a little different, as main cities generally are.
Oh yeah,
a little more blue than red.
Phoenix is like super red, and most of the state is super red. But like Pima County, we have the university here and everything. It's a deep blue down here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to me, as far as comedy is concerned, I think James had sent me an article about I forget who it was, but he was talking about how comedy will change is if the clubs end up coming back, you'll see a lot of headliners and things like that kind of taking spots to get back into it. So people at my level will have to wait and kind of bird dog shows and muddle through until everything eventually goes back to normal as far as, people getting more shows.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of, there are shows going on. I know that, a lot of outdoor shows that I hosted 2 festivals back in like June and July, and they were in backyards and in parks. But beyond that, I don't like being in the cold.
Yeah.
It's cold over here, so I'm not going to stand outside and do comedy in the cold. Maybe I have a price, but I don't know the price yet because nobody's offered enough for it. But if people want to go see you or check you out online or maybe see some of your stand-up, let them know where they can go in these last couple of minutes that we have.
Oh yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's at my last name, Ditolla, Ditolla, Dominic, Dominic. And then you can find our sports podcast, just the Sports Experience podcast, on YouTube or any of the streaming services. And we have the album, like I said before, Tucson Outlaws Bullies Volume 1 on Amazon, Spotify, all that good stuff.
Great. I really appreciate you coming down. I'm looking forward to talking to a couple of the other bullies in the coming days. I got Roy, and I'm going to talk to Tony. So I'm looking forward to that.
No, I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you for doing this today. Maybe we'll figure out another time to chat in the next coming seasons. I wish you luck, and thanks for coming down.
Well, I appreciate it. If you're ever, in the Southwest, hit us up and we can try and help you out.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
That's Dominic Ditolla, everybody. Dominic
Thank you.
Ditolla out of Tucson, Arizona. Check out his stuff. This is Welcome Back to America. We'll be back right after these commercials. Thank you very much. Hey there, y'all. Thanks for checking out Welcome Back to America again. It is Monday. It is 10 p.m. or any other time of day you could be watching this too. Today we have a comedian out of Tucson, Arizona. Very funny guy. Met him through another comedian friend recently who I'm working with. And since we're doing Tucson and we're doing Arizona this week, I got Roy Lee Reynolds on the. How you doing?
Oh, doing great, man. Living like a doctor, you know.
Well, what does that mean?
It means whatever you want it to mean.
I imagine lots of malpractice suits. That's what I see.
Yeah, that's my specialty. Yeah, don't let me operate on you.
So, are you from Tucson?
No, I'm from Louisiana. Initially, I'm from Arkansas and Louisiana. I migrated to Tucson about 4 years ago. I was in the Air Force, and that was my last duty assignment. I retired from the Air Force about 6 months ago.
Oh my God!
I just kind of like it here, man. The tacos are good, and I like hot weather, so I just stayed.
You were in the Air Force.
Yeah.
What's
yeah,
your specialty?
I was a mechanic. I was in for 20 years. I retired the second I hit 20 years.
Oh, very good. I have a couple of friends who have a friend out in South Korea who trains people to fly Apaches or
that's awesome.
Helicopter of that sort. And
yeah, I was stationed in Korea twice. It's a lot of fun. Yeah,
is
Korea's
it a lot
awesome.
of fun? I always felt like, I would be worried if someone told me tomorrow you have to go to South Korea and live there for a year. I'd be like,
oh man, you'd have a great time. It'd be good. After a week, you go, man, the food's good, women are hot, everybody's nice and cool.
And that's really all you need in life.
Yeah, you're good. You know, yeah.
What was it that made you join the Air Force?
I didn't want to live in Arkansas anymore.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, that was the extent of my intentions at the time. You know, like we weren't at war or anything like that. Clinton was still president, and you know, but I don't want to be here, you know, and that's a way out.
And I imagine it very rural in Arkansas.
Yeah. I grew up on right on the Arkansas-Louisiana border. I claim both states, you know, unfortunately, but yeah.
You have to hang on a second.
All right.
Sorry about that. It would
Okay.
be an interview if I wasn't either interrupted by the cat, the laundry, or someone with a gun.
Yeah. It's not a real podcast if something don't go sideways.
In fact, how long is it before we're more likely to get shot when we go out than not get shot?
I think like 3 or 4 years.
We're about 3 or 4 years out from that. Okay. You're the first person. I've said that to a few people, and you're the first person who answered it as a viable concept.
Yeah. I live in Arizona, man, and people open carry around here, man. It's like, why? It's stupid, but
you live in Tucson, which is, if there is a blue area of Arizona.
It's blue-ish.
Yeah, right.
Blue-ish. It's like armed blue. Like they're all for like abortion and labor unions, but I'm carrying my gun, you know.
Do you have a collection of guns?
No.
Because you're in the military, I thought maybe you would.
Yeah, no. I mean, I got a couple that are at my mother's house in Louisiana. I never carried with me because it's too much trouble going back and forth overseas. It's a big pain in the ass. But no,
Now,
I just moved too much. Laws change. Stationed in Korea twice, England twice. It's too much hassle, so I just never bothered.
I lived in England twice myself. I lived in
Nice.
London and I lived in Cambridge for in 1998 and 2015.
Okay, I lived in Bury St. Edmunds, right outside Cambridge.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
I never went there, but I did know it. I took the train through there, sort of.
Yeah.
Going to London, but always. I look forward to living out there. Cambridge was the best.
Cambridge was awesome. It was really the second place I was doing comedy. I was stationed in Texas and I did 3 open mics. And then I got stationed in Korea. Didn't know of any comedy in Korea, which there is.
right.
I took a vacation to Sydney, Australia. And I got on some shows there. And not because I was good, but because like this promoter liked drinking with me. We became drinking buddies. And then I got stationed in England after that. And then that's when I went like, oh, whoa, this is a thing you can actually do. Like, there's people that just do this and make a living at it.
So you you kind of started performing regularly out in England.
Yeah.
Sort of where it started. Do you remember your first time on stage? Were you a child? What was it that actually got you to try for the first time?
I think I was 31 or 32. I was living in Abilene, Texas. That's where I was stationed at the time. I got frustrated trying to play in bands because people don't want to show up and rehearse. And
I see you got a couple of guitars behind you.
Yeah. I got like a bunch of records here, and yeah. I play now. Like I'll just turn on a Ramones record and see if I can still play it, which I barely can.
I was just listening to the Ramones, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Seriously.
But, yeah, I got tired of being in bands, and I saw Henry Rollins do a spoken word show, and I went, "That's it. That's the move. No band, no gear. It's just a microphone. That's it." And he's not a comedian, but I saw it. That's when the light bulb went off. And so I found I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what an open mic was. Like, so I just like go online and what do you do in the open mic? All right, where can I find one? Austin, Texas, 3 hours away. Perfect. Nobody knows me. And so I did those there and I was mortified. I did like this wannabe Jon Stewart shit comedy. And, and I was the only white person in the whole place. It was a black room and I had a good time, even though I sucked, but
yes, I've failed in front of a lot of audiences that were all black, but I've also done really well. Always a very welcoming audience. Also, gay audiences, very, very welcoming. And the first audience I ever played in front of was at a gay bar because a woman that I was working with brought me there to do, and there was an open mic and there was a contest. And we were like, whoever wins we're gonna use that money. We're gonna buy weed.
Yeah.
She ended up winning. She didn't buy any weed though.
Yeah.
So when after England, when you ended up in Tucson, how did you get into the comedy scene there?
I just kicked the door down in Tucson. I'd been doing comedy in England. After England, I went to North Dakota. And North Dakota, there was a little club in the little shit town I lived in that had a Friday night, Saturday night show, and they gave me a guest spot every single night. And that was like an education to me because I'd do my little 5-minute guest spot, and then I'd sit in the back of the room and I'd watch the feature, I'd watch the headliner, and I'd watch the producer. That was like my master. That's where I got my master's degree, was sitting in the back of that room. And then I would do that, and then I'd hang out in Minneapolis, St. Paul as much as I could. Anytime I got like 3, 4, 5 days off work, if I could just take off work and get there, I would do. And I would open mic, and some friends from playing that little room would put me on shows, and I'd open mic or whatever. And that was, I consider like that 2 years getting my master's degree in comedy, watching people, watching how they handle business. I learned what a road comic was. I didn't know that was a thing before I got there. I was like, oh, there's these guys that are just dynamite funny that aren't famous and don't care to be famous. They don't care. And but they're just crazy funny and they don't have day jobs. And I was like, this is
right. You can actually you can make a living as a road comic and not be famous at all.
Yeah.
I mean, so many that do it right now. Well, they're starting up again doing it. You're involved in a group that was called the Tucson Outlaws.
Okay, Tucson Bullies. Outlaws, I don't know how Outlaws came into anything. Although I kind of always referred to myself like on social media as Outlaw Drifting Comic, which is like a Hank Williams nod.
Right.
And then I moved a lot. You know, I was never stayed in the scene prior to Tucson very long, so I just bounced around a lot. And but we were called Bullies. There's a semi-famous comedian in Tucson, or used to be in Tucson. I'm not going to name drop, but her boyfriend kind of had a problem with something the four of us were doing. Me, Dom, Tony, Andrew were doing, and we just kind of called him on his shit. And then she referred to us as Bullies, and we just kind of laughed at it and went, that's what we're going to call ourselves from now on.
Yeah,
thanks. You know, and then so we put out an album that was, you know, we referred to ourselves as that, and, you know, and it's just like, we just kind of leaned into it.
You do sketches together?
Yeah, we
All
do.
stand up, or
We did an album with the four of us. It was like a 4-feature album. All of us did roughly 15 minutes, and so it's an hour long. It's on all the streaming sites. You know,
what's it called?
It's called Bullies Volume 1.
Okay.
And the pandemic will happen, so there hadn't been a Volume 2 yet, but there will be it sometime this year. There will be a Volume 2.
Have you been doing shows recently? Are you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I done everything I could through the whole time. You know, some people don't like it, and that's fine. That's their business. I don't begrudge in that. But
I guess you haven't gotten sick.
I didn't slow down. I was just like, I don't want to atrophy. We recorded the album late 2019, and then I deployed to Afghanistan. And then when I got back from Afghanistan, the apocalypse happened, and I went, I'm not taking a year and a half off. Like, if all I can do is open mic, I'm going to open mic. If I can get guest spots at the local show, I'm doing whatever I can just to get my sea legs back and not let, you know, the comedy muscle atrophy. And so I did that, and I tried to be smart as I could and stay clean and take care of my immune system and all that kind of stuff. But I never got the sniffles. I haven't gotten sick.
Yeah, neither have I. I've been very lucky.
Yeah. I got my first vaccine last week. You know, I'm ready to do this, and, you know, and go whole hog again.
I always loved that term, whole hog. It's great.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. I haven't been gotten the vaccine yet, but I will when it's available. I'm just not in the categories yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, but I signed up anyway, and then I guess I just kind of slipped through the cracks. Like I looked online, and the drives are like 3 hours. So 3 hours, and then God knows how long you're waiting online. So I'm gonna wait for it to be easy. I don't. Yeah,
really.
I hear you. Yeah.
So
it was easy in Tucson. Like it took me 30 minutes in and out. I never got out of my car. You know.
What is the scene like there down in Tucson?
Right now, there's not a scene.
There isn't one. Okay.
No, it's there might be a dozen people that are coming to some open mics, and there's like a little showcase show at a bar or a little hotel ballroom or something here and there. One comedy club that's still working and functional, and they're doing all right. But there's really, compared to 2 years ago, we had a scene. Right now, we don't. I'm hoping in 6 months we'll resemble Tucson of old again, and, you know, that kind of thing. But right now, I don't see a scene right now. I'm trying not to bash my town, but there's not a scene.
Where do you see comedy going? Do you see it coming back in a different way?
No. Once vaccines readily available to the masses, I see rock and roll coming back, hip hop back, comedy clubs back in full force. It's more popular than it's ever been.
How many comedy?
I see everything coming back. Yeah.
How many comedy clubs are down there in Tucson? What are some of the?
Tucson's got one. We have Laughs.
Okay.
And Phoenix has, I think, 5.
Okay.
5 or 6 per capita. Phoenix is a pretty hot comedy city. Like one city to a bunch of comedy clubs.
It's a highly populated city too, and then they'll get everyone from Tempe. I guess people would come from Tempe to Phoenix all the time, and they're highly populated too. Yeah,
the city, it's so big and so populated. 5, 6 clubs, and they're not even in competition with each other. Like it was just they can all sell out every weekend.
Roy, I really appreciate you coming down today. Was a great conversation. In the last minute we have, do you want to tell the audience where to go look for you, where they can find you? Maybe
Yeah,
watch an old show, maybe buy your album.
yeah. Get the album Bullies Volume 1, stream it on whatever your favorite streaming service is, or buy it from Amazon if you want a physical copy. And all my socials are at Roy Lee Reynolds, one word, RoyLeeReynolds. And, that's all my socials. I have to keep it easy.
Awesome.
But yeah. Thanks for doing this, man. And it's nice to meet you. And I hope we can do some in-person work in the future, man.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to that. That definitely will happen. I'm looking forward to coming out to Arizona. I plan on taking a lot of trips in 6 months. So
cool. Yeah, that's my plan too. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Roy Lee Reynolds. Really, really excited to have him over today. Welcome back to America. We'll be back right after these commercials. So check those out, and then check out the next interview. We're going to talk with one of Roy's friends.
Yep.
In the Bullies.
Yep. All right. Later, man.
Me llaman Dan Pablo y hace más de 20 años me enamoré de una colombiana. Viajé a su país y conocí un estilo de café muy distinto, muy especial. Ahora tostamos cafés excelentes, con alturas y microclimas diferentes, resultado en una taza muy compleja y muy rica, un sabor nuevo en el mundo. Fue un éxito. And I even got to keep the girl.
Hey there, everybody. It's DB Frick. Welcome back to America. We are here once again on a Monday at 10 p.m. on Strong Island Television, and we're interviewing another comedian. And as I mentioned throughout the evening, we are in Tucson, Arizona tonight, thanks to James Mack. And I've interviewed a few guys from this one group called the Tucson Bullies, who just came out with a comedy album. And we'll talk a little bit about that and some other stuff about this very interesting guy who I'm looking forward to getting to know a little better right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Bruin.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming down. I appreciate it.
I'm glad to be back in America. It's been really hard being a legal immigrant here, but
Is that true? Where'd you come from? You're a legal immigrant? Is that true?
No, I'm just fucking with you, man.
Okay.
Born and raised in Arizona.
You could be.
I like the name of the podcast.
I appreciate that. It is my favorite thing. I've had a couple of people say no to interviews because of the subtitle, because it says Jihad in it.
I thought I was gonna say like no Jews or something, but you're good.
No, I don't. and honestly, it's just Jihad is to Indians isn't a negative thing. They see it as just like an enlightenment, an effort.
Yeah,
to be great, but it still involves like death. So like whether you look at it one way or the other, it's like we just don't want to die. That's the point. Yeah. And it parodies the SNL title. So enough about me. More about you. What is it that got you into comedy? When did you first start doing stand-up? Do you have any mentors?
Yes. I started almost 7 years ago. The only reason I started because I was working at this nonprofit for visually impaired people and stuff. I'm visually impaired. I was born visually impaired my whole life, all that jazz. And I had this group of kids.
From when you were born?
Yeah, when I was born lucky, I like to say that. Like won the lottery. God hated me, whatever you want to call it. But
what percentage of your sight do you have?
What's that?
What percentage of your sight do you have?
Oh, I don't know. It's like my vision's like an impressionist painting. You know, the closer I get, the more it makes sense.
Okay.
But I was working at this nonprofit for a while, and I had this group of youth, like 18 to 20-year-olds, and these kids were like sheltered and coddled their whole lives. So it was kind of a sad thing. And my goal for a month was to try and get them out of the comfort zone so we can get them, ready for employment and all that jazz. So I had a deal with the kids. I was like, I'll go do something that I've never done that I've wanted to do if you guys go try something that you want to do. and I started doing stand up. And to this day, I have no idea if those kids ever did anything with their lives because I fell in love with stand up that day. Like I never went back after that.
So they influenced you. You don't know if you influenced them.
I have no clue. I hope I did, but I don't care. Comedy, I fell in love with the first laugh, and I never stopped going after that.
I had a similar experience. I worked at UCLA for many years and had many students. And at the end of one summer, a student came up to me and was like, you know what? You were my favorite. I liked you the most. And I was like, I have no idea who you are. I don't remember you at all. I'm really sorry. I didn't say that to them. That was the truth.
I've had that too at just like random grocery stores, like Mr. Tony. I'm like, hey, how's it going? I remember you're so big. Wow.
You influenced me so much.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did have one mentor. They might have talked about it. I don't know if Dom did, but there's a guy named Gary Hood. His name was Hoodie around the club at Laughs.
mm-hmm.
He was pretty much the face of the place, and very, very scary dude to me when I first started, because I already heard stories that this guy would ream you if you'd had a terrible set. You know, you go out there and he'd tell you how unfunny you were, and he used to give me backhanded compliments, which I thought was cool because it was somewhat of a compliment, you know. He told me, he was like, 1 out of 5 stars. How well do you think you did? And I thought I did good. I was like a year in. I was like, I think maybe 4 stars. He goes, why do you think that? Get the fuck out of my sound booth. I'm like, all right, have a good. It was a good guy.
You should always be positive about how you're doing in that sense. I like to think of myself as the Charles Barkley of comedy. Without any blackface. No blackface, though. I don't do blackface.
Yeah, don't do that.
Who are some of your favorite comedians coming up?
I was a big fan of Patrice O'Neal back in the day. That's one of my all-time favorite inspirations is Patrice. He kind of taught me, like, you kind of want people to love you and hate you. That way people just know you. And I love that about him.
One of the few times that I went on stage at the comic strip, I went on before him. I'm so glad. Yeah, I didn't go on. And it's like, I have a tape of it because it was one of my tapes I was going to send out to industry. And it has Starla introducing Patrice O'Neal right after me. It was
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. He's very funny. One of the funniest, no doubt.
He is, hands down. He's one of the most viewed comics I still go check out after, like, once in a while. If I'm feeling like down, I'm gonna go watch Patrice because he's so fucking funny to me. Doug Stanhope is a big one. I got to open for Stanhope 2 years ago. That was probably the coolest night I've ever done.
Oh, that's really cool. That's great.
Yeah,
I love hearing that. He came down to Tucson. He came to Laughs.
No, he was coming down to some of the open mics in Tucson, and he picked out a couple of people to open for him at a grand opening at Chuckleheads in Bisbee. And that was one of the lucky people to go over there, and it was one of the coolest nights I've ever done. I got to do grand opening and with Doug Stanhope, so I can die happy, you know?
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I think the biggest comedian I ever opened up for was Emo Phillips. I did improv before him, and he's like an 80s comedian. And he told us not to do, he was married to Judy Tenuta, who is also a comedian.
I can tell these are Canadian names.
They may be, I think they are, but he told us not to do any dick jokes, but we were an improv group going on before him, and he told us not to do any dick jokes, don't do any dirty humor. So we didn't, and then he proceeded to do an hour of
their dick jokes.
Humor, which that was a long time ago, but that was probably, I don't open up for too many big people. I want a couple of questions that are a little off, a little different. If you were on the run and you had a bag of money, where would you hide? Where would you hide the money? Where would you go?
I'd probably go to a different bank and hide it somewhere where they wouldn't look. You know what I mean? Like the janitor closet.
You'd hide money in a bank?
Yeah.
It'd be so funny in a bank, randomly finding millions in a closet. Like, who put this here?
Yeah. It's like someone, like, who forgot to do inventory? There's $1 million just sitting here. Like, why is it in the, you know? I think that'd be great. You know how they say the closer you are to danger, the farther you are from harm? I think you can use that logic for anything. Like, if I was robbing a bank, I'd just go to a different bank and hide it somewhere else.
I think that's brazen. I like it. I am risky myself, so I am willing to take a risk like that.
Yeah.
if you could have one superhero power, what would that superhero power be?
Supervision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Or just make everyone else temporarily blind for a little bit, like just as much as me, and have them be confused but not really disabled.
What would supervision be, though? Because that means that it would be better than anybody else's vision. So
Yeah.
you could see as far as you'd need to.
I guess like a eagle on steroids, or like a hawk on steroids or something like that.
I like
That's
that.
probably the supervision.
I like that.
Yeah.
If where do you see comedy going now that the pandemic is?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally, I don't like the whole online mic thing like this. I'd rather do interviews like this all the time instead of do a Zoom show, and I don't mind Zoom shows, making money when you can. I've been paid for them, so I've done them before, but nothing beats the ambiance of being in a room full of people and making them laugh and reading the room, you know what I mean?
Right.
As opposed to waiting for someone's Wi-Fi to connect and then hear a delayed laugh somewhere. To me, it's no fun. As far as where it goes, I hope it comes back. It probably won't be the same way we had it, before pandemic, but I think everything could come back as far as that, just clubs opening. Otherwise, if it's Zoom shows, I don't know if I'm going to be a comic for much longer.
Yeah, I haven't liked doing it. I haven't liked doing stand-up. Improv's a little different because I feel like I'm working off of other people, but it's hard to gain audience reaction either way. So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Say that. I do.
I'm gonna be up about that question right there. That's a good question. Where do you think it's gonna be?
Yeah, and it is constantly changing. Things being.
Oh yeah.
I always assume if I ever became famous, I probably wouldn't be able to be famous very long. I'd be canceled pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, we have an album called The Bullies. I mean, we're not.
I was going to ask you about that. That was my next question. Yeah, tell me about the Bullies album.
Bullies album was just about 4 comics who were sick of not being booked, so we just went out and found different bars and clubs that, had dead nights, and like, can we do a show here? And if we can, we'll do the first show free, and then if it's successful, let's talk about percentage of ticket sales and all that jazz. And we actually were successful for a few months. We had like 3 different venues that we got to go get paid for every month, and it was awesome.
I think
after a while,
it'll all come back. That stuff will come back to you.
I think so too. I mean, I still do comedy. Like even during the pandemic, I was kind of a bad boy about it. I just went out and found spots that were, didn't care.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, even in Manhattan nearby.
Yeah,
I hosted a couple of festivals. That's really all the stand-up I did that was live. I hosted 2 festivals, and they were all day, but they were outside.
Oh.
They were outside.
I mean, that's what I would like to do that also, as far as festivals go. I've actually not been to a festival for comedy before. I just hosted at the comedy club here, and that's about as big as I get right now.
That's awesome. I have no comedy club home. All the comedy clubs that were my home have closed. The 3 big places that I would go to, that I would sort of say were home comedy clubs, are closed in Manhattan.
Damn.
So they're not open, and they're not opening back up. In the last minute that we have, tell the audience where they can go to see you, where they can check out the album. And you also have a 4th person in your group. I want to hear about them.
So you got Dom and Roy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew Scott,
Okay.
probably the secret talent of the Bullies. One of the best writers I've ever met. Super funny. We do a bunch of skits with him on YouTube every now and then. If you guys go check out Dinos on YouTube, I'll send you a link if you want it.
Sure, please.
Andrew Scott, he just became a father, so we all know what that means in comedy. We won't see him for like 7 years. But he's hands down one of the most talented guys we have in the group. I don't know what else to say. Ex-military. He's kind of like Roy, just a better writer.
Where can the audience go to see you online?
I have a really trashy podcast with 2 guys that are also no names. You can check it out, called Rippin' It Podcast, RIPN It Podcast on YouTube.
Cool. That's great.
And, yeah, that's where you can find me. If you guys want to hear us do a bunch of no words, that's the podcast to find it.
And the album, where can people go to see the album?
You can find the album anywhere on anything streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. It's on everything. So please go check it out because we are desperate for attention.
Awesome. Tony Bruin, thank you so much for coming down. I really
Thank you for having me.
You're very down to earth. I hope that we meet in person in the coming months and years. And
I too would love that.
Good luck with everything.
You too. Thank you very much, man.
Thanks for checking out Welcome Back to America. Check out these commercials, and we'll be right back after that with another interview with a friend from Tucson. Hey, everybody. Got to get out of here quick tonight. Thanks for checking out Welcome Back to America, the end of our third season, 30th episode. Kind of amazing that we've been...
Wow. Yeah.
Thanks, Millie. It's kind of great that we've been able to do that. We've had so many guests, so many great people. We've had over 100 people involved in the show.
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people, as you could tell by the credits after this. So thanks for checking it out this week. We'll be back on Mother's Day, the day after Mother's Day, at a different time. We'll be on at 9. That's why I'm wearing the sunglasses, because the sun's still out at that time. That doesn't make any sense at all, right?
It sounds good.
So, yeah, we'll have a Mother's Day episode. We're going to have some game shows next season. It's going to be great. So thanks for checking us out.
So
Strong
excited.
Island
Thank
Television.
you. I learned so much. Thank you, Dan.
Well, yes, one of us did.
Yeah, well, you learned some things from me. Stop. He thinks he can't get any smarter, but he can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Welcome back to America.
Peace out.